right, guys, welcome to the HVAC Podcast. Today we have Sean here with, let's see if you can see my screen, Harvest Valley Specialty. So, Sean, real quick, introduce yourself. How long have you been in the HVAC business?
My name's Sean. I've been in the HVAC business since 2006. I started the Monday after I graduated high school, back in June of 2006, and I've been doing HVAC ever since then. Been a part of HVAC and HVAC fabrication for those parts of it forever. So, install large commercial, small commercial, residential, a little bit of everything. I've dabbled in it all. So
That's
just
good.
lots of different opportunities have arisen my way.
You got a lot of experience, man, and that's good. So you've been doing this since 2006. Also, fun fact, you're out there in Eugene. I'm from Eugene, so shout out to the Pacific Northwest. But why HVAC?
So basically my stepdad was in HVAC, and when I was getting close to graduating from high school, his family owned a shop locally, and they gave me an opportunity to job shadow while I was in high school. And I've always loved metal fabrication. I always loved metal. I always loved working with my hands. And I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my life, that's beneficial? So they led me into this area, and I got to work for an amazing group of people, an amazing group of guys. And I just loved it, and I fit in well in their shop, and I kind of flourished from there.
That's good, man. What was as you're growing, right? There's a
Mhm.
lot of people trying to get in the trade business,
Yeah.
especially specifically HVAC, and also a lot of people that should get in HVAC but don't know like the benefits.
Hmm.
Because right now it seems like there is a labor shortage right now, and
Absolutely.
shortage of people that want to work. What gravitate aside from being the family? What gravitated your attention to kind of go inside the HVAC field? Was it just
The
natural?
big thing, I knew I wasn't going to go to college. So like, what can I do, and how can I support myself and my hobbies and my lifestyle that I like to do, and still make a great wage and a great living, and be able to buy a house and have kids, and not stress. Um, and so joining, so little fun fact about us, we're a union shop. All of our guys are union employees. So walking out, we've got full family pensions and full family health care and pension programs for all of our employees and workers here. That really helps us out, and gives you a step ahead of a lot of your non-union contractors.
So you're saying where you're at, if there's someone like, let's say they did go to college, let's say they went to community college and they, either they got their degree or they, dropped out and they feel lost, you still feel like they have an opportunity to like make it in the HVAC industry with that pension and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So the big thing with us is like, at least our union, so all of our guys are going to go through a 5-year apprenticeship program. And that apprenticeship program, like other programs, most time you have to pay for it. Ours here locally, all of our journeymen pay for our apprentices program. So they'll walk into it. They go to school 5 weeks a year. They don't pay for a dime of it. All the journeymen
Wow.
pay for it, and they can collect unemployment for those 5 weeks. They're in school. So they're not out money, and they're getting raises every 6 months. So they're increasing their wages. Is all they got to do is pass their classes, show up on time, and do their due diligence. And
Hmm.
they can see it. It's all printed out on paper, how much they're going to make every 6 months, what raises they're going to get, what strides they're hitting. So they've got goal incentives.
I'm confused as to why a lot of people my generation don't go for those, and
That's the
we could
struggle right now.
speculate. Why do
Yeah.
you think there's a labor shortage, and why don't you think a lot of young people are not getting into the industry?
I think a lot of people don't want to work with their hands anymore.
Mm.
There's People don't want to get dirty. People don't want to crawl under houses. People don't want to crawl up in attics. And I get that. It's hard work. It's not for everyone. And there's a give and a take there. That's why these guys make so much money though, because they're doing the things other people don't want to do. So if you're willing to get a little dirty, there's great money to be made in the trades. Anything from HVAC, plumbers, electricians, they all make great money, livable wages around here. And there's it's just a great opportunity. You're not having any college debt walking out of it. You walk away. In ours, we're actually partnered with Mount Hood Community College, so our guys are going to
Mm.
walk out with an associate's degree from this also.
Wow.
So it's really, really beneficial, if you're willing to get dirty. And that's
Yeah.
that's it right there. It's willing to get dirty and sweat and work hard. Um, there's just that lack of translation. And because when I was in school back then, they pretty much told you if you didn't go to college, you weren't going to amount to anything.
Yeah.
And now that's starting to shift. But is it too late? We don't know. I think time will tell.
I think I just think the amount of money in the HVAC, the people in the HVAC industry is going to continue to increase because it's going
Yeah.
to be. You just don't hear a lot of people say they want to get in the HVAC field. In my generation, they want to
Hmm.
be, digital marketers. Like me, I'm a digital marketer, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to own a coffee shop under Dutch Bros, like just work under the operation. Didn't work out, dropped out, started this business. I could have totally gone into the HVAC field, but you know what? I just didn't know about all the benefits of that. So what are
Yeah.
you guys doing right now to communicate all the benefits in the HVAC field to recruit more people?
That's the hardest battle right now that we all have. And so you get these young guys that haven't worked before and can't even read a tape measure, and that's tough. So it starts out like we need to push legislation to put vocational classes back in high schools.
Wow. Yeah.
Once we start doing that and we start getting these guys a little bit further ahead, educating them that this is a good choice in school when they're in high school, like having our trades come in and show these guys that, hey man, you don't need to go to college to make a good living and be able to go purchase a house and take care of your family. You can do it this way too. There's multiple options out there, and there's no right way. It's just figuring
Yeah.
out what's going on.
No, I totally hear you. So you've been in the HVAC industry since 2006, or you started your business in 2006?
Been in the HVAC industry since 2006.
Okay.
Harvest Valley Specialties was started in 2008 by my father-in-law, and
Wow.
it was primarily a stainless steel manufacturing company. So when I came on board here back in 2017, I want to say, or
Mhm.
2018, I came on board here to solely do stainless manufacturing and build one-off components. Do a lot of food grade welding here and water jet cutting. We have multiple water jet tables, all kinds of different, and can build anything known to man. So that's what I was coming here to do. And then it kind of turned into people kept asking where I went and asking me to do stuff for them again. And then within a year, I started having to build ductwork again. And then I'm like, well, after a year building ductwork again, people ask, why aren't you installing and servicing anymore? And I'm like, well, I guess it's time to take that next step. So
Yeah.
we just slowly over the last 3 years have been growing and putting guys and surrounding ourselves around the right guys and creating these departments, and me letting go and training people.
I think you said something very valuable there that a lot it's going to go over a lot of people's heads when they're listening. So you essentially came into this business and this business only did one thing. And
Mm-hmm.
because you did such a good job on other people's work, they asked you to do work for them again. They didn't care what business you were in, but they cared
Yep.
about, what you did. And
Yep.
that eventually led to more jobs, more revenue, and more opportunities for you and your business. So how can a new business owner or a seasoned business owner in this industry accelerate the amount of positive views they're getting, because you got a lot people came
Mm-hmm.
from another business to follow you,
Yeah.
so some business owners can't even do that in their own business. So how did you do it?
Me is
Yeah.
earning the respect. So like the biggest benefit I can tell all these kids was starting when I was 18 years old. So when I was 18 and all these kids were in college doing all that stuff, I was working. 20, I bought a house. I started making these graduations and benefiting myself, and surrounding myself around the right people that are going to push me. Guys like your father-in-law pushed me and helped educate me and help me grow me in this trade. Like my dad, my father-in-law, your father-in-law, these guys helped me move along in the trade and asked lots of questions, pushed myself. That was kind of how it started. So then when I started getting out in the jobs and running, jobs and getting big work and going on the commercial side of things, a lot of these guys that were doing the work with me shoulder to shoulder throughout the years, now they're older in their careers. All those guys now or running the jobs or running
Mhm.
the shops. So they have my respect and I have their respect. So it's like now they want to order from me and they want to buy from me because I've earned the respect already from
Wow.
going out and doing that dirty work.
So so aside from being like in the like earning people's respect inside the industry, how do you get the respect from like a homeowner? How do you get more homeowners to do business with you because of you guys' like, good ethics and good work?
So that is a hard one to break into for any HVAC business per se. There's many different ways you can market. There's many different ways you can try to attack, to get that customer to you. So what I like to do and what we like to do here is we like to have some sort of small Facebook or something, always promoting our name and getting our colors and our logo out there, right? And
Mm,
all be all, I think that's kind of somewhat of a loss leader. Like, yeah, it puts us out in the industry. Our name's getting seen. We're not going to benefit that much from it. But I would like to see, and I like to see people getting out in the community. You found me through BNI. I think BNI is an awesome resource
yeah.
because it boils down to trust. If someone else trusts me and refers me, I've made a client for life.
Yeah.
And if I can make a client for life, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking by the fly by night, one-offs that I'm going to get beat up on price or this or that. Be able to tell honest truth with someone and them to respect that and my opinion on it. And if I can do that, that's the best way to grow your business and grow it sustainably to where you're not hot and cold.
Yes. Yeah. And do you feel like I want to tap into BNI real quick, but do you feel like there's a lot of seasonality in the HVAC business, like that hot and cold, where it's like, oh, we're really busy, but now we're really slow.
Absolutely. There is, it's there you've got like after your winter spell when stuff's breaking and after that and until your spring when stuff start kicking on their AC and stuff starts breaking, you're going to have a little lull. So you're wanting to fill it with as many maintenances as you can. And that's what everyone's goal is to build those relationships and build those maintenance contracts and go from there. There's always those hot and cold. So diversification is key when it comes down to that and not putting all your eggs in one basket.
For sure. Yeah, you can't be putting all your eggs in one basket. You gotta have multiple ways to fill your pipeline. When it comes to your busy season, do you do anything to make sure, like, okay, we're gonna get, an average of 50 new customers each month? Do you do anything to like capture all those customers to then, hit them up in 6 months when it's your slow season? Do you do any sort of that, anything like that?
Yes, we do. So we have an online tracking software that essentially, as soon as we do a call, it reminds us 6 months, call them back. Let's try to
Nice.
get them back on a schedule. Even if once a year, let's hit them once a year. Let's get them back on a schedule. Generally, if we can hit them twice a year, even better, but trying to figure out what the customers need. And there's a large lack of communication. And you're also your tech, your service techs, they're also your salesmen. So you got to train them on
Yeah.
how to sell product also. And, figuring out if these guys aren't changing their filters because they're too old and can't crawl in the attic, being like, hey, let's just call in. I can pop in and just change it for you. Just communicating with the homeowner at that point in time and seeing what their needs are and what they can afford also.
Yeah, communication is very important. Do you feel like do you feel like a lot of homeowners in your area do they tend to just bounce around from companies, or are they pretty sticky in your like in
So
your view?
yes and no. They're hot and cold. When people want something, they want it now. So
Yeah,
if you're not the first to answer the phone, you're probably not going to get the job. So making sure you have a good office receptionist that's prompt answering the phone. If not answering the phone, getting back relatively quickly to get their needs taken care of. Most of the time, they just want to be heard. That they're getting put on that schedule, that they got that tech coming out, that their problems are being solved.
yeah. So what do you do to make sure that you have, those proper SOPs with your receptionist to make sure that all the phones are getting answered? Because you're totally right. If someone's not answering that phone call, they're gonna go to the next one on Google
Mm-hmm.
or whoever they see next.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you do? Do you train, or do you just find someone that's like kick ass?
You hire family.
You hire family? All right, for sure.
Yeah. But then also setting up your phone systems correctly, and that's just making the right investments to where, like, hey, if she's not at her desk and it rings twice, it's going to go to her cell phone directly, and then she can answer it from there. If she's running an errand, that she's still getting the phone calls, that people are still getting heard and talked to and getting put on a schedule promptly. Granted, you miss some from time to time,
Yeah.
that happens, but we try to catch everything we can.
Yeah, when those calls come in, like you guys, like your SOP is pretty simple to just get them scheduled, or what do you guys do to diagnose what that homeowner needs?
I don't like diagnosing really too much over a phone.
Hmm.
It's really easier just to get a tech physically out there as fast as possible. Put your gauges on it, take a look at it, figure out and really diagnose what the problem is at that point in time. Um, some people are going to like virtual service calls and stuff like that to try to self-diagnose something before they even know. And that's just really hard, to do realistically. A lot of these parts, these guys should already have on their van to fix most generic
Hmm.
problems with these companies. So if you're really you're not going to do anything until you get out there anyway. So if you have the parts, if you have your van loaded correctly, you'll take care of their problem relatively right then and there.
What does a loaded van correctly look like in Eugene, Oregon, right? Because it's gonna be
Lots of
different.
capacitors,
Yeah.
lots of capacitors and contactors, and lots of refrigeration. A lot of time you'll get refrigeration leaks and whatnot is what we're dealing with around here, and capacitors going bad. Sometimes a lot of thermostats going bad, and just smaller stuff like that. And then when you start getting up into the different style units, a lot of the R22 units around here, they're going away with R22 gas.
Hmm.
So just getting those quoted out so we can get them changed out to the newer gas styles that are going to be around here, or
Okay.
just do a 410A system.
So since you've been in the industry for a while, 2006 to now, right? Even though you
Mm-hmm.
weren't, in position of ownership in 2006, you've seen a lot. How can you tell a good, so like let's say me,
Mm-hmm.
hey Sean, I want to go work for a company, not yours, but I want to go work for another company. How can
Mm-hmm.
someone tell a good HVAC company from a bad HVAC company?
Ooh,
Just
how
like
long?
from the surface level.
The service level, I'd want to know how many years they've been in business. And then talk to somebody that's actually working in the day to day there. Because they're going to be the best person. If you know somebody that works directly for the boss or the owner, um, talk to them, because their feelings and how they feel is the best opinion. Because they're the ones with the family that's got to be taken care of, and the boss, there's that difference there. So I would ask somebody that's actually an employee of that business, whether it's they're good people to work for or not good people to work for. um, End all be all, we can work with anyone we want. If you're a good skilled technician or a service technician,
Yeah.
you can go work anywhere, man. Like, those guys are hard to find.
I had a call with someone, a podcast with someone out in Alabama, and he said the reputation follows you. So
Yeah,
if you're a guy, and you can tell me if it's true or not, but if you're a guy that's just bouncing from sign on bonus to sign on bonus just to collect a check, like he said, like that leaves a bad negative like reputation. Is that how you see it too? Like these people that just bounce around, or what do you think?
absolutely. They're fades, they're going to fade out. You might get a season out of them realistically. A lot of those guys create more problems also
Oh
when they
wow.
come in. Yeah, it's hard to find good technicians and good people to come work for a business nowadays. That is one of the hardest fights that we fight in a day-to-day basis. It's finding good people, and there's ways around it all, though. I mean, you can get the people, it just takes time also.
Yeah. So what are your ways to do that? Like combat that?
Well, the union helps us a lot.
Okay. Union.
The unions helps us a lot, and they help train our technicians, and also help us find candidates and put ads out there for us, and help us figure out what their skill sets are to help benefit us. So I have a union rep. I can call him and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Can you start looking and digging for me? And he's like,
Nice.
absolutely. And it's really great to have that. But also, is what I like to look for. It kind of sounds a little bit silly, but I like to look for a guy that's married with children. In nowadays market is if they're married with the kids, generally they got someone that they have to take care of and be responsible for and show up on time and do that due diligence. And that makes everyone's life a lot easier at that point in time,
Mm,
because we
yeah.
can train those things that they're not good at. But if they got that good positive attitude and show up, we can work with the rest.
Dang. Okay. So if you got, if you're watching your tech, you got children, you got a leg up on everyone. That's cool, man. You also said that the amount of years that a company's been in business matters. Why'd you say that?
Well, because they've worked through a lot of those struggles and those fights that companies go through to streamline these processes. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's a fight when you're going to start an HVAC company or a service company. You've got all these different softwares, you've got all these different technologies out there that you have to start tracking and you have to start learning about. And it's not easy. And if you've been around, you've done your trial and error, you've figured out a lot of these issues and already tackled them, and so streamlining these processes can be a little bit frustrating. But you know, that's why those bigger companies have got it figured out. And they've been around for so long that they've got it streamlined down and that process down so well that it's kind of just another motion.
Yeah, that's how McDonald's does it. Anyone
Hmm.
they could put a 15-year-old, 16-year-old in the restaurant or
Yeah.
the spot, and it's the same thing wherever you
Yeah.
go. You just hop in and you make do that system and process right there. Okay. So, did you have an option to go like be under union, or how is that in Oregon?
So I just kind of fell into it, to be honest
Okay.
with you. The shop I went to work for was union at the time. I didn't know any difference between union and non-union when I joined. I
Okay.
just kind of got lucky, to be honest with you. And just fortunate, just very blessed to have that fall in my lap. And that's what I would recommend, especially anyone young going into it. Um, we have 35 years and out with our pension. So me starting at 18 years old, I'll potentially be able to retire when I'm 53 years old,
Oh
with a full
wow,
pension. And there's not very many guys out there that can say that.
that's young, bro. 53 is young, man, especially
make
to
make
retire. Yeah, yeah.
make work optional.
Yeah, no, for real. That's cool, man. That's cool that you set yourself up in that situation. Do you feel like it may be like, is there any point in time where it's too late for people to get in the trade? Because I
No,
see a lot of these young guys get in, but I don't see too many
no,
people.
it's really not. If you got a good work ethic and a good attitude, it's never too late. I've had guys and apprentices underneath me that were in their 50s and came and just did the apprenticeship and still made great money, and still have a little bit of retirement and still have really good health care for their kids and their whole
Mhm.
family. And they're not paying large deductibles and out of pocket stuff for their health care. That's huge. So there's no, I mean, I always say young, but like you can join at any time. Majority of the guys joining our trade now, they're in their 30s. They're in
Yeah,
their mid 30s, to be honest. And it's the guys that have gone through college and paid their dues, and they've realized that the degree they got isn't what it cracked up to be.
for real. Yeah, for sure. Interesting. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I just keep seeing like a big push for like to get just grab a whole bunch of young people. Do you
Hmm.
prefer someone that has been? So I was talking to someone, and they prefer that their new hires didn't go to trade school, like any of these other. I think RSI's went out, one big one out here. But did that matter if they've been to a trade school or not?
When it comes, so there's two different sides of our trade here in Oregon.
Mhm.
We've got our sheet metal side, and then you got our service side. Sheet metal got side here is going to be guys that build all your ductwork, that the guys that are designing your ductwork and doing that day-to-day fabrication and install of everything from large commercial to residential. That's your fabricator side of things and your install side of things. Then you have your service school side of things. So you got two different schools here that our guys can go through. The service school is much harder to get into. So essentially, me as an employer, I have to sponsor a service candidate to go through the service apprenticeship.
Oh
So,
wow.
and it's a rare deal. So those guys are really hard to get, but when you get them and you bring them up yourself that way, it's the best way to do it, because then you know what you're getting out of it, and you know that they're being trained properly. A lot of these guys are coming from these other schools and these other companies. They're not trained properly, and the
Mm,
quality of craftsmanship is not the same. So I
yeah.
get where you're saying, yeah, you want them to. I kind of agree with that. I don't want them to go to a different apprenticeship. I'd rather them go through our apprenticeship because I
Okay.
know it and I've been through it, and I really do recommend it.
That's good to know. Okay. That's cool, man. So like when it comes down to that business wise in the HVAC, more mainly like residential, like what are you guys really good at? What's like the number one thing you guys know you're killers at?
The stuff no one else can do, or the stuff the other
Oh, okay.
companies can't figure out. They
What
call
can't they
us to
do?
come,
Yeah.
just troubleshooting stuff that's, we had a big package unit that the outside air is all blocking off. And they sent 4 other companies out there and they couldn't figure it out. And then finally they called us up and we knew exactly what it was. That was just having a skilled technician that knew what he was looking for. Just because the dampers wasn't communicating correctly for the economizer. And it's just simple stuff like that. Going through the correct schooling is huge. And finding those great technicians that know what to look for. And that is hard to find.
So you guys are the people that other companies call when no one knows what to do. So
Yeah.
so if you were so if someone were like someone knows a lot and like has a lot of knowledge,
Yeah.
but they're not getting calls from other companies, like what should they do? You know?
Like calls from other companies to come in.
Yeah,
Um, that it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, and don't get depressed about it and don't beat yourself up. Like
mhm.
just pay your dues and spend your time, like, and start building relationships with people. That's the biggest key to success. Build relationships. And not, don't be afraid to tell someone you don't know that you need to figure it out, that you need to make some phone calls, that you need to call tech support. Be open and honest about it, is huge. And being able to troubleshoot those problems and figure them out on your own.
Yeah. So when it comes down to it, your biggest thing is like making sure that people are trained under your guys' apprenticeship, right?
Yeah.
Second is to be successful is make sure you have a lot of knowledge in the company, because if you have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of knowledge in a company, more and more a lot of people are just going to be reaching out to you guys, and that's why you guys keep growing
Mm-hmm.
exponentially, because you have all that knowledge, you
Yeah.
have all the right people in the right places, and you have the systems and processes, which is
Yeah.
really good. What would you advise someone, someone that feels like they don't have all the SOPs like figured out, and they feel like they're a mess? What would you advise that one owner to do? If they feel like they're everywhere, they're doing service calls, but they're also doing the business, what would you tell that business owner to help them increase, one, the revenue, and also the amount of jobs that they can get?
So what I would tell that business owner, if it's consuming 30% of your time, you need to hire someone to do that job for you.
Wow.
And then that's the motto I kind of like to look at. If it's consuming that much of my time, we need to hire someone else. And then I need to go free up that 30% to go find more business and build the relationships with new people to bring that business to our business. And slowly keep doing that. Keep doing that, keep doing that, and keep your nose down, and it will work over time. You're gonna flow with your financials and stuff like that. But if you're 30%, you're taking 30% of your time doing that, you're not focused on it like you should be at that point in time. So if you're hiring someone full-time to do it, they're going to probably do a better job than you at that point in time.
100%. So, like the business owner that wants to stop working on the field, not because they want to, but because they have to grow their business,
Mm-hmm.
and that they know that them being in the field's bottlenecking them. Is that
Yes.
is that what you tell them? You tell them to like hire more techs?
Yes, absolutely. Like if you're out in the field and you're beating the bush and you're busy, 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 but your business isn't growing, it's not growing because you're not out there pursuing work and building those relationships. Um, and so joining networking groups is huge. Once you do that, you're sending multiple salesmen out there for you at that point in time.
Yeah.
And once you got those multiple salesmen out there for you, it's going to be a lot easier for you to manage at that point in time.
Yeah, it's crazy because like the networking groups, there's BNI, there's Chambers, there's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of types of networking groups out there. But in Southern California, I was looking for other HVAC guys, owners, to be on this podcast like you are yourself. There's
Hmm.
no HVAC companies in a BNI in Southern California
That surprises
at
me.
all. That me too. And I'm like, dude, there's opportunity for someone in Southern California right now to eat up all of the BNIs. You know, if they have all their techs or their office people go to one each one. There's like five in
Hmm.
Southern California, like within a 5 mile radius of each other. I'm like, that'd be killer, dude. You know, so yeah, the networking and the referrals, especially in the service industry, are amazing. You can't beat those.
Because it boils down to trust. If you can get your tech to the door, generally you're going to keep that client for life, if you got a good technician. So um, building those networks and having the right tech, and the rest will take care of itself.
Oh, 100%. So how do you get techs to the door so that you can acquire that customer for life?
Being in the trade for as many years as I've been in the trade, there's when you've been around it, and as long as I have, you're bound to know the majority of the good guys in this area. So you've
Wow.
already got those relationships built, and they kind of already, everyone knows everyone in this town. Eugene's a small town. Like, let's
Hmm.
get real. So
Very small. Yeah,
it
very
really,
small.
it really is.
Compared to Phoenix, it's
Yeah.
super small, man. Yeah.
So, just not burning bridges either. So being positive and working through your issues, and people see that and they respect that. So that's how I try to lean our business motto and do things around here.
So you acquire customers by just, not, burning any bridges or leaving bad work, or how do you get new
Yeah.
customers? Because if everyone knows everyone and it's a small town, so getting new customers may be harder, because I may be a homeowner in, I don't know, Coburg Road, right?
Hmm.
And I've been using the same company for 10 years. But if that tech does something bad, I'm going to be calling another company, right? Is that kind of how it goes, or?
Exactly. You're waiting for that tech to make a mistake, and somebody gets frustrated with the price, or they want a second opinion. I tell everyone to get a second opinion, get multiple quotes. If you're going to change on it, get multiple quotes on it, and then look at the quotes, make sure they're the same type of equipment, make sure everything's apples for apples, and then always get a second opinion. Don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion on something.
Do you think people don't do as many second opinions?
A lot of people don't, to be honest with you.
And for you, if you were to tell a homeowner second opinion, what do you get a benefit from that, or do you not? Or
No.
like, are you scared? Are you scared that homeowners gonna, like? Do you scared like chucking the trucks and give that second opinion and beat your price by $1,000, or how does that work out? When you
They
say
can
that.
they can beat that price, but that's okay. They got that opinion. And hopefully that their quality of work is the same as ours. Great. That's where I can say that, like, we're going to produce a really good quality for you guys and sell you in that route and give you an affordable price at that too. I
Yeah.
know we're not the most expensive guys out there. I know we're not the cheapest guys out there. We're landing right in the middle. And that's kind of the nice spot where I like to be. I don't want to undersell somebody and then them have some bad product either. So it's just being honest is the
Yeah.
biggest key there.
That's good integrity right there. Do you feel
Yeah.
like in your industry, honesty is hard to come by, or like, what are your opinions on that?
Yeah, it's very hard to come by. A lot of
Wow.
these companies come in and they try to come in for maintenances and sell these customers on stuff they don't need, just to try to bring up their bottom line. And I don't think that's fair to the customer at all. So I don't push those type of sales. I don't agree with it at all. I think that if something breaks, let's fix what breaks, and let's try to be preemptive about problems. But I'm not going to sell you on a problem if you don't have that problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it feels like sometimes people just try to, especially like in a commission role, you're just trying to sell as much as you can so you can get a check.
Yep. Yeah, and because a lot of these stuff you'll sell these small components, their component only costs 10-15 bucks, but they're charging the homeowner 200 bucks for it.
Oof. Yeah.
So they're marking that up, where I don't do that. We get it where we mark it up, our standard percentage, and it's not even close to what that is. That's just being honest and being, hey, but this is our labor rate. Yeah, our labor rate's a little bit higher, but we can cut that price down because we're not charging you this much for this part because this is what this part actually costs.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, being honest, you're gonna win all the time if you're just
Yeah.
honest. Will you get like, even if the homeowner doesn't go with you, but because you weren't honest, someone, I always feel like they come back.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
always feel like they'd be coming back. So when it comes down to it, this is probably one of my two last questions right here. When it comes down to it, when it comes to marketing your business, what have you been doing that's been very successful, and what's something that you've been doing that you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that?
So the most successful thing has also been the BNI group, and making those contacts
Yeah.
and putting myself out there in the community, because it's not only helping the business, it's helping me personally with my speaking and my pushing my boundaries and looking at different options that I'm not looking at. I think the worst thing we've done, man, I don't think we've done anything that bad yet.
You're not gonna hurt my feelings, man.
I
I'm a,
really
yeah.
I really don't think we've done anything from free contest giveaways to Facebook marketing to all this stuff. I think everything has its benefit in its place and time. I think the biggest thing I could tell a young business owner like this: don't overextend yourself, and don't push too much into that marketing if you can't afford it. You know, keep your overhead as low as possible. Um, those are going to be some good keys to success.
The standard rate for like marketing is like 7%
Yeah.
of your whole your gross revenue or
Mm-hmm.
net revenue. I don't know, but 7%, I know that, right? So
Yeah.
I know that the more aggressive marketing approach is like at a 10%. So whatever you make, use 10% of that back to
Yeah.
market your business. So that's good. So you're saying essentially, build relationship. The number one winner for you has been building relationships, because
Absolutely.
you're just getting referrals
Yep.
all the time. And the second one, you're saying you really didn't go, spend your dollars anywhere wrong, which is good.
Yeah.
That's very good for me to hear. I was on a call, when was it? Yesterday, and this guy did not like. He filled out my Facebook form, which I thought was funny, but he
Mm-hmm.
said that marketing's a scam, and I was like, there's no way it can be a scam. Everyone markets their business. It's
Mm-hmm.
every
It's
like
finding the correct
yeah.
way to market your business.
Yeah. So I think I got burned by someone, and he just had like a very bad taste in his mouth when it came
Yeah.
to like talking to people like me. But yeah, I didn't get the business. He was very hesitant on paying per lead. It's
Mm-hmm.
totally fine. I get it. But yeah, I just want to see if you were hesitant on anything, because sometimes like it's either too good to be true, or you got burned on it by someone because they told you to do something.
Yeah. I mean, we did do the Angie's Leads things there for a while, and I wouldn't recommend that per se too
Why?
much.
Why wouldn't you?
Um,
I don't like Angie's leads, so let's put more fuel on this fire. Why don't you like Angie's leads?
the big thing is the false leads. I mean, the false leads, Joe Blow could fill out an ad and they're sending you something. So now I'm wasting my time on something that's not correct, and
And they're
then,
charging you.
and they're charging me for it. So then realistically, out of the leads that you would get sent to you, one of 50 or one of 40 would be, you might get some traction on. You're paying month to month on that. That doesn't make sense. The real business owner wants to see, like, every lead he should get should be a van to a door, whether it's $100 or $150 service call to a $10,000 unit change out. Like, they want to see actual leads or talk to an actual person on the phone. Um, and that just wasn't the case. And being hounded day in and day out when you leave and trying to get to join this stuff, it just didn't pencil out, and you're just wasting so much time trying to get these leads.
Yeah,
And it's like, that didn't make sense, and the people aren't contacting back. So now we're just wasting time and money.
exactly. Yeah, and like it's weird to me because on my end, the way I didn't know about Angie's and Home Advisory until like I want to say like November,
Mm-hmm.
because they came out with a new rule that if a lead doesn't opt into your form, meaning that they accept to be contacted by your company, um, it's illegal to pass that lead on to another company, right? So, like, let's say I gave you a lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, here, go call this lead, and you call it, and this lead tells you, hey, I didn't I didn't accept to be contacted by your company. I wanted to get contacted by like, I don't know, Comfort Master,
Yeah.
whatever is out there. You can get sued for that for $10,000. And
Wow.
it's not my responsibility now. It's your responsibility because you called the lead. I just gave it to you. You chose to call it.
Mhm.
And Home Advisoring Angie's List is doing and doing that. And I just think it's so weird that they're still doing it. The law hasn't been passed yet, but I'm just like, what are these guys going to do
Yeah.
when that law is passed?
Yeah.
So it's federal law too. It's not it's not like a state by state. It's a federal law because so many people are getting spams on their phone. So to protect from the spams, you can't sell or buy leads like that. So that's crazy. So the when it comes to the leads, like it's very simple. You just want a van to go to that door, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what we do, honestly, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
That's the big thing is what you want to see is like, hey, like, cool, I get a lead. I shouldn't have to fight with someone to make an appointment. Like, I should be
no,
having their correct name and number, so I'm not wasting our time at that point in time, because time's money is what it boils down to. And so if we have a receptionist just wasting time trying to call these people and get put on a schedule, and they're not even getting back to us, and they even the names don't look legitimate, you know. So
I've seen some of the leads. Yeah,
I'm
they're
just
weird.
like this just it's a waste of time at that point in time.
There will be so like we do a lot of Facebook ads for
Yeah.
HVAC, and there will be a lead that comes in once in a while where it's like John Doe, and then I'm like, what's going on here? It's honestly another HVAC business or another marketer trying to see what's going on the back end, right? It's called funnel hacking. It's a lot of people, a
Mhm.
lot of I do it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Not to be annoying, but just to see what's like how fast are they following up? What's the process? Am I going to get followed up multiple times?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, like I when I fill something out, like 1 out of 5 times I'll get a call, and I'm like, that's weird that I'm not, and I don't do John Doe. I do my name and everything. I'm
Hmm.
like, it's weird. So if anyone does do any marketing, make sure you call the leads, because it's very important. You got to call leads. They're not gonna just come, flocking over to you like that.
And that's important too when you get a lead too, making sure you're prompt on it. Like, they want to be heard within an hour or two, like, because it's
Yeah,
fresh in their
fast.
mind. Fast, being quick and ready on that is it's huge, because speed wins a lot of the time.
Speed wins, man. Yeah, and then also like Angie's, they give your lead to another company, right? Like
Oh yeah.
they're sharing it, right?
Oh yeah.
Which I think is also very unethical. Because then you have all these guys fighting for one lead, which is wasting the time. And two, it's gonna be a race to who can be the cheapest.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
I know it makes sense to why a homeowner would want the cheapest lead, but if someone's just always fighting at the bottom, it's not gonna be that hopeful.
Cheapest isn't longevity though, so
No.
you're getting what you pay for also.
100%, man. Well, cool, man. So that essentially, I got all my questions answered from you. You've been a great guest. Fun fact, um, my wife. You knew her when she was a super young kid,
Probably
and
7 or 8, she started coming over to my house, and I was having barbecues with her family.
that's wild. And it happened all because of BNI. I called,
Mhm.
and he was the first one on the BNI list that was an HVAC, and essentially I was calling. I think the first time I was calling was just to reach out for either for the podcast
Mhm.
or
I
maybe
think
I
it
was
was
trying to.
just some marketing advice or something, I
Oh yeah,
think.
yeah, something. I don't think I was trying with the when I hit up BNI people. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm just trying to give them
Yeah.
advice or trying to
Yeah.
see if they want to. Now it's an open invite to the podcast
Hmm.
because I just feel like that's way better. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, it's just super weird. So my father-in-law taught you, right? Is that how it
Yep.
works? Okay.
Yep.
Small
Yep.
world. And that's the cool thing about BNI. It's always about building relationships. And it's just I advise anyone that watches this that's not in BNI, that's in HVAC, to join any chapter that they can that doesn't have a spot filled up because it's literally a gold mine for service businesses.
Yeah, and it's also a gold mine just to push your own boundaries and your own, personal self goals. Also, it's going to help you in just your speaking terms and how you present yourself to customers.
Yeah, 100%. I am not sponsored by BNI, by the way, but if they want to, they can. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, cool, man. Yeah. Any last questions? Any marketing questions?
None,
No.
none. I appreciate you having me on though.
Perfect, man. Of course. Thank you so much. And this will be up like within 24 hours.